on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and continue learning about shocking things about visiting England, part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, feel free to check that out, or stay right here in part 2. Perfectly fine as well. But in part 1, I learned quite a few interesting and shocking things about England, and I think the thing that stuck out to me the most was, the shocking thing is, England just seems a lot more pleasant than the United States. That was actually a big part of part 1. Like, the first point here was, in England, people are just more polite, more considerate, a little more respectful, which I never really stopped and thought about it, but I think here in America, we kind of have a really low threshold for what is polite behavior. We kind of get used to it, that people are a bit abrasive and kind of blunt and maybe even rude, and it's just normal, so we don't even think about it. So the idea that people are actually, like, maybe apologizing if they bump into you, or, you know, making room when you're stepping out of the elevator and being like, excuse me, sorry, thank yous. That's like, sadly, I was like, yeah, that is a little shocking if I lived in that world, which apparently is England. And what else? Shocking things we learned about in part 1, that the food is very good. That did not shock me. I don't know why that was on this list, honestly. I totally would believe that the food is good in England. I don't know if that's some kind of stigma or something I don't know about. The weather, that was a good one. Because I was a little shocked because I have heard that the weather is terrible in England. I think that might be a stereotype. But apparently, I don't know, it's kind of convoluted, but the weather is just kind of bad sometimes. So whatever that means. So maybe not as bad as I thought, but still maybe a little bad. So, I don't know. I still don't know what to think about that one. And, oh yeah, pubs, how important local pubs are just to the community and local culture. And that's a pretty shocking thing. Just totally different from anything we have here in the United States. Honestly, totally different. And, what else did we end on? Just that, London, yeah, England is a lot more than just London, which again was not totally shocking to me. But then again, I'm like looking on YouTube, going out of my way to learn cool stuff about the UK. But I think the average uneducated American would be pretty shocked at how much more there is to England than London. Like, when Americans talk about visiting the United Kingdom, they do pretty much mean London. So it would be, and they wouldn't even be able to name another place that they'd want to visit, you know, the average American. So that is a bit shocking, but I was kind of aware of that one. So I'm excited to see what other shocking things are when visiting England and how different it really is to the United States. So let's take a look.
That's why it leads into the sixth thing that's going to shock you. When you come to England and you get outside of the out onto the countryside, this country is actually beautiful. Go through Kent and the gardens of Kent.
Oh, Stonehenge. Man, sometimes I forget Stonehenge is in England? Man, okay, anyway, yes. This doesn't shock me. How beautiful England is to travel around. I guess, again, this might be shocking to just like average Americans. I'm a little more educated in that I know that there are these beautiful places around England. A lot of people don't around here. And yeah, so this kind of makes sense to me.
Or go to the Peak District or the Lake District. Go up to Yorkshire and see York. I mean, this country is gorgeous, and you want to go out there and go explore it, and that's what's...
Yeah, even when you think of the countryside and, like, beautiful landscapes, Americans probably think of Scotland or like Ireland, not so much England. So there actually is a fair bit of truth to this one. This would be pretty shocking.
Really cool is, look, it's not just London. And when you get outside of London, the countryside and the towns, the villages really are beautiful things to see.
Right.
So exploring that countryside leads us into the seventh thing that's going to shock you when you do come to England, and that is when you rent a car and your first roundabout. I'm not gonna.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Roundabouts. Oh, boy. Okay, so this one, oh, boy. This one's giving me anxiety just thinking about it. Your first experience driving on the other side of the road. Oh, my God. This one really genuinely gives me anxiety thinking about trying to drive in England and how, it's cemented into my brain to drive on the right side of the road. And in America, I think compared to some other countries, we really drive everywhere. I didn't even realize. We drive anywhere. I'll drive 1 block down the street. I ain't walking. I don't have time for that. I don't care about my health. Come on, I'm an American. And but seriously, we are a bit lazy when it comes to, getting on our 2 feet. We drive everywhere. The whole infrastructure of our cities and our communities and the United States is pretty much built with the idea that you own a car and you're going to drive everywhere. So driving on the right-hand side of the road, man, I feel like if I was driving in England, I'd be on the left-hand side of the road. I'd be using my brain. I'd be like, okay, I remember that video I did where I learned to drive on the left-hand side of the road. And then I'd just be like, suddenly my brain would just flip upside down and I'd be like, am I dreaming right now? Why am I on the left-hand side of the road? This isn't right. And then don't even try to introduce a roundabout into this situation.
The first time I took a roundabout, I'm like, oh my God, first off, they drive on the left side of the road, okay?
Yeah.
So make sure when you cross the street, you look right, otherwise you're gonna get smashed, okay? But the thing is, when you get that first roundabout, there's like 2 lanes and 2 lanes, you're like, okay, I've gotta go right, so I gotta go around the roundabout and then come off this way, and you're like, oh my God. And once you do...
Oh my God, I mean, it's funny he even mentions roundabouts, because I don't know, I think they're fairly common in the UK and England, but they are not common in the United States at all. Fortunately, there is one that I encountered at one point in my life that was near a university, and I kind of learned how to use the roundabout slowly but surely, and oh my God, that was a whole experience. But they are not very common. And most Americans have never ran into one. And I will agree, once you get used to them, they are kind of magical. They are kind of nice. That I will admit that. When you understand the roundabout and embrace it, it is actually really cool how quick and easy everything is. But yeah, it never works as well as it should with American drivers in particular, I think. And don't even talk to me about doing it in reverse, like on the left-hand side of the road. And I don't know.
That first roundabout, and you're like, okay, where do I turn in? Where do I turn about? All these things. It will shock you into a heart attack, okay?
Yes.
And then after you do that, you'll realize when you watch European Vacation, National Lampoon's European Vacation, and you see Chevy Chase going around, the Griswolds going around the circle. Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament. Look, kids, big Parliament. For like 6 hours, you start to understand because, seriously, renting a car and...
Wait, what does this say? Oh, you will hear someone saying that when you walk by Big Ben. Look, Big Ben, Parliament, okay.
And driving on the other side of the road is shocking in of itself. But when you get that first roundabout, you're like, oh God, I'm gonna die. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like roundabouts are a lot more common in England. Because I wouldn't even be worried in the United States. Like, I'm not worried about coming across a roundabout and forgetting how to do it. It's never gonna happen. It's so rare to have roundabouts.
Okay. Now, the 8th thing that's gonna shock you is when you do travel around, you actually can see Downton Abbey type houses, the stately homes, the stately manor houses, and the...
Ooh, seeing the manor houses and historical estates around the country. Yes! This is a great one. Yes, this is so obvious. Yes, I'm so glad he pointed this out. Going to England, I didn't even think about this because this is so not something I think about. These beautiful, amazing, like older architecture and these historical estates and just this amazing old historical buildings and architecture that don't exist much in the United States, you know? It's really kind of magical how this is sort of a common thing, and there's castles and cathedrals in England, and yeah, that's like such an awesome part of the culture that we don't really get to enjoy here in the United States.
country homes and stuff like that, you can go visit those, and it's cool because a lot of people, it's a set piece or it's CGI or something like that. No, these are real homes that you can.
Oh, you can actually, they just let people walk up and trounce around all over the estates? How fun.
That you can go to. You can go to the Cotswolds and see the houses there. You can go around and see these stately homes, take tours of them, go to the gardens, have lunch there, have a picnic there, see all these things. And it's cool because you get shocking, like, wow, you can see the old Downton Abbey kind of things here, that old.
That's true. Like, yeah, that is kind of shocking to me. I never thought, I didn't realize a lot of this stuff was so open to the public. That's nice. Like, I feel like that wouldn't work as well here in America. Like, people would be trying to, like, pull part of the brick off of it and take it home or something. Like, we can't have nice things and be allowed to walk around these historical sites. That's my first thought.
Old England, it's not just in the textbooks anymore. It is out there in the country, and that's one of the best things. The National Trust, they have all kinds of homes you can go stay at.
Some historic properties can be rented as an accommodation. You can stay in these amazing old houses and buildings. That's awesome.
I mean, you can stay at them. Literally, I guess one thing I'd say with that Downton Abbey kind of thing is you can have some of those true Englishisms here, staying at an old house, an old, stately manor, or,
Stately manor. That's a word he keeps using. I've never even, never said that word before. I'm going to stay in the stately manor. Wow.
Or what you do with the National Trust, they have all these homes. You can stay in a home that's 1,000 years old and enjoy that there. And that's what's so cool is you can get the history of England in these homes and to get that kind of.
I never thought about this. That is super cool that you can stay and visit these places. It's just open to the public, these super old places.
Downton Abbey feel. I know that this show's been off the air for a while now, but it does have one of those things that shocks tourists. Is that, wow, I really get to enjoy those kind of things.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, you get to see the Downton Abbey homes and stuff like that. The Downton Abbey acting and stuff like that. Yes, people still have good manners here, but
Downtown Abbey? I need to look this up. Okay, Downtown Abbey is a drama with 6 seasons set in fictional Downtown Abbey. It's a British historical drama television series. I've heard of this. Set in fictional Yorkshire country estate? Is that what he's talking about? Okay, I was like, I feel like maybe I should have known what this is, but I've heard the name of this show, never seen it, but it's got cool old historical estates by the sound of it. Okay.
But it's not like Downton Abbey anymore. I'll tell you what, just go to the pub on Friday night or Saturday during the football match. You'll understand what I mean. Now, the ninth thing that's going to shock you when you come here to England is the cops don't have guns. In the U.S.
No, I mean, that right there kind of says a lot. Says it all. Wow, that is a huge, huge difference between English and American culture right there in that one sentence. The cops don't carry guns.
You've always got a gun on the side, no matter.
The cops don't typically carry guns. That would just, and maybe this is a sad thing about the United States. It definitely is. This just wouldn't work in the United States. It's well known and well accepted and expected that American police officers have guns at all times. And yeah, I mean, if that wasn't the case, I truly do feel like people would take advantage of knowing, if they knew that police in the US didn't carry guns for some reason. Say we were trying to be more like England. I think we'd be flung into chaos. Like, unfortunately, people in certain areas of the US and maybe some of our cities that have a little more higher crime and troubles with that kind of thing, it would just be madness. Like, people would just exploit and take advantage of the fact that the cops don't have guns. Just the threat. Like, I know it's sad that that's what's kind of required to keep order, but that, honestly, I do actually believe that. And maybe it's just because we've had them, like, throughout our history of policing. They've always been armed. So it's just like how it is here. And it's just normal and no one thinks it's weird. But instead, I think it's shocking that cops don't carry guns in England. That is, I mean, hats off to England, like mad respect. That's fantastic. That's incredible. Like it says a lot about English culture. And just, I don't know. Wow.
Matter what, here, most of the cops, the bobbies, they don't carry guns, okay?
Wow.
And the thing is, the cops here are super friendly as well. So it's kind of like they're there for security, but it's almost like they're also there for tourist help. I mean, it's pretty funny because I know there's been many times when I'm like, okay, which way do I need to go to Notting Hill? Or I'm in.
The police and shopkeepers have always been super friendly and helpful to our visits to England. I would never, and yeah, this got pretty bad a few years ago in the United States where our trust in police really went down because of a couple incidents that happened, negative, news stories and altercations with the police. Our trust and faith in our police went down a lot, although I know a lot of them are genuinely, like, kind people trying to do their best, but there's always, a couple bad eggs and what have you. This is just, yeah, I don't necessarily I don't want to ask a police officer in the US for help finding something or telling me where something is. That would not be my instinct to do that. So this is also shocking to me and honestly nice, because police officers are supposed to be serving the community and protecting the community and public servants and all that. So it's actually super nice that the relationship and friendliness between the public and the English police seems so much more healthy in England. Man.
In York, hey, how do I get to the church and stuff like that? Or where's the best place to go have tea and crumpets? And the police officers, male, female, they're like, oh, go down there 3 blocks to the left, you're gonna see this thing.
That's so nice.
And they're super great, but it does shock people when they see the cops.
Yeah.
But they don't have any guns.
Yeah.
Now, there are some cops with guns, yes, but it is kind of a shocking thing if you're coming from the U.S. or South.
Some cops have guns, but even if some don't, that is what Americans think of when we think of police. We think of people with guns. Like, it's that ingrained.
America and stuff like that, to be like, hey, it's a cop, and he's got a walkie-talkie. Huh, interesting. But it is cool, and they are super friendly, which is super nice. And the 10th thing that shocks tourists when they're here is when they realize that Britain and England are not the same thing.
Yes. Yes.
England is a part of Britain, okay?
Oh my gosh. This is one of the first videos I did on YouTube, was learning this, and it shocked me. So many Americans, oh my gosh, this is great. This deserves to be the last one. So many Americans are so confused about this, and it would shock them. I drilled this into my brain when I first learned this on YouTube, and I was like, wow. Britain is different than England, and those are different than the United Kingdom. And strangely enough, this is not really taught in the United States. I don't even know, looking back, I don't even know why this is a confusion in America, but it totally is. People use Britain and England interchangeably. They'll say Britain and they're talking about England, or, the opposite. This is so true.
Okay, it's called the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Yep. So obviously Northern Ireland.
Oh, most Americans don't even know about Northern Ireland. I'm not joking. Like, we just call it Ireland, not Northern Ireland or, man, yeah.
Ireland separate, Great Britain, that's England and Scotland and Wales.
Right.
And that's the thing is, if you meet a Scotsman or a Welshman and you say, oh, you're English, they're going to be insulted because no, England is a different country, but they'll be okay if you say they're British.
Yeah. The fact that Britain is comprised of 3 countries, England, Scotland, and Wales. Most Americans, and I know this because I was one of them for a long time, like well into my adult life, and that is very typical for Americans. I can tell you that. I didn't know where Wales was, that it was part of Britain, that England was different than Britain, that Britain is different than the UK, yeah,
Because there are a lot of differences between going to England and going to Wales and going to Scotland. Whether it's the accent or even a different language they may speak there, the food and things like that. I mean, the pub culture pretty much stays in all those places, but
Okay.
there really is a difference. And just remember, you'll be shocked that
Of course.
England is not Britain, okay? It's two different ideas.
Yes.
Anyway, those are just 10 things that might shock you for coming to England on tourism or travel or vacation or fun. What are some of the things that shocked you about coming to England?
That was fantastic. Okay, so that's the end of this. This was by Walter's World, and I liked it. Those were fantastic. A couple things here that actually shocked me, and I pretty much agree with most of these. When he said it might be shocking that England has good food, I didn't get that one, and shocking that England has cool stuff to visit, like that I didn't get that one. But most of these, like the fact that police don't have guns, the fact that Britain and England are different, the fact that people are actually polite, that the weather can be okay, driving on the other side of the road, just gives me anxiety. So this was actually super fun to learn about, and yeah, you could say I was a bit shocked by a lot of this stuff, and I enjoyed it. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like, or leave a comment, perhaps with anything you might think is shocking about that tourists or Americans would think is shocking or different about England. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK and UK culture and just stuff about the UK that I've never seen or learned before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.